I'm out here on a beautiful May morning on Saturday. I believe it's May 14th or 15th. Looks like the high country still has snow. I'll talk to you a little bit about the Council of the Gods and see if we can get some ideas rumbling here on the... I've just recently acquired about 25 new sources thanks to Ron Barron on the Council of the Gods. Various different scholarly analysis of it. And I'm going to do some discussion on the Council. One of my favorite themes.
Now, one of the more recent interesting treatments on this Council of the Gods idea is by Min Suk Ki. This is out of the Journal for the Study of the Old Testament. It's dated at 2007, just recently out. He talks about the Heavenly Council and its type scene. As he notes the overarching pattern in the ancient Near East on this theme of the Council of the Gods. He says, in the ancient Near Eastern literature, the Heavenly Council represents the most authoritative decision-making body and agent in the universe and in history. All the decisions concerning the universe, mankind, the creation, so on and so forth, it was all proposed, discussed, argued back and forth, and agreed upon in the Heavenly Council scene, according to the ancient Near Eastern interpretation of their religion. And it's remarkably interesting to me anyway, as I've already shown in some of my Book of Mormon commentary videos, that Lehi's Heavenly Council scene was one of the first things Nephi included in his record. Right at the end of chapter 1, he talks about Lehi's Heavenly Council scene that he visited also. And he saw the concourses of angels, and they were coming down, and they were as bright as the sun, the one figure, and the others were as bright as the stars, all evoking the Heavenly Council scene, beautifully so. Unfortunately, Joseph Smith lost, or Martin Harris lost, the 116 pages of the Book of Mormon after he translated it. Otherwise, we would have had Lehi's personal recording of that. As we have it, it was probably Lehi teaching Nephi about his vision that gave, or Nephi reading about it in his father's record, so that we have it at second hand. As it happens to be, though, we have enough of the information to know this is definitely the beautiful ancient Near Eastern genre of description about this Council of the Gods. Key says that sod, the Hebrew word sod. Now, this is an interesting word because it can mean both secret, as in Amos 3:7, surely the Lord God will do nothing, but he revealeth his secret to his servants the prophets. Or it can also mean counsel, C-O-U-N-C-I-L. It can also mean C-O-U-N-S-E-L also, the counsel of the Lord. That's kind of interesting. Because as the human person breaks into this Heavenly Council, as he's carried away in a vision, or else bodily, as Enoch was, into this Heavenly Council, he hears the deliberations going on between the various members, the various gods and goddesses in the council. And in Isaiah's case, for instance, Isaiah volunteers to go forth. And it's very interesting because we now know that Zechariah also had this interesting vision of this Heavenly Council. He says, Sod refers to the title of the assembly of the gods, together with, he says, among the passages in the Bible that discuss this idea of Sod as a council of the gods, is Jeremiah 23:18, and then 22, Job 15:8, and Psalm 25:14. The Sod is the assembly of the gods, together with Psalm 49:20 and Amos 8:14. He says the Sod indicates a title. And when we read about it in Isaiah 14:13, where we read the Sar Me'od, the Har Me'od, it refers to the mount of the assembly. Har, of course, is the Hebrew word for Bible in the for mountain in the Bible. And, of course, the mountains of the north. That's why I was trying to show you these beautiful mountains way off behind me in the Snake River range and then off toward the Grand Tetons. I'm going to get over to the Tetons this summer and show them to you. The mythological idea, the historical religious idea, is the assembly was always in the mountains of the north, the Sarpon. The northern, it's very interesting how they assembled together on the mountain. Zeus on Olympus, the Greek council of the gods with Hera and Athena and so on and so forth. And then, of course, the Ugaritic council of the gods where you have El and his sons, Baal, Yahweh, Mot, Anath, Ashtaroth. There's all kinds of interesting council scenes in the ancient Near East now that we know about. The idea was that this is where leadership among both the gods and the humans were decided. And Deuteronomy 32 talks about when God allotted the various nations to the various gods, Yahweh himself received Israel. So for them, they weren't strictly monotheistic as such. Our modern definition of monotheism is all wrong. Monotheism is not about the only existing deity. Monotheism is more in line with, for us, there is but one God, exactly as Paul taught in the Corinthians in the New Testament. But there are other gods. Israel was just commanded, don't go after them. So this is kind of interesting here. He says in Hittite text, this is on page 260 of the journal, he says in Hittite text, the assembly of the gods is invited to witness important treaties. So there's this idea, it's like a court scene. It's our facsimile number 3 in the book of Abraham, actually. The council is where the secret, that is, the very cause of the affairs of the universe and the earth and mankind and the stars, this is where this could be glimpsed. And the visitation by a human into this council, as Jeremiah complained about the false prophets. He was telling the king, why do you listen to these false prophets? They have not been in the assembly of the gods, the council of the gods, like I have. I'm telling you the truth, and you're disbelieving me. But they haven't been to this council. The idea is, with the visitation by the human into the council of the gods, this is one of those things that makes this guy a true prophet as opposed to a false prophet. It's fascinating. He visited the council of the gods. The door in Amos 8:14 is paralleled with the Elohake, the gods, and interpreted as the circle of the gods. The door Elohake is the circle of the gods, and I thought that was kind of an interesting touch too. And he notes this too. He says, wherever this assembly occurred, the members of the assembly are referred to as gods. These are not human judges. These are not human councils, although the earthly human council reflected the heavenly council of the gods. It is not about humans or angels or judges. It is gods. And he lists an enormous amount of scriptures where Yahweh and the divine assembly texts include Exodus 15:11, Deuteronomy 32:8, Psalm 96:4 and 5, and this is very similar. This equals 1 Chronicles 16:25. And he says Deuteronomy 4:19, 17:3, Judges 5:20, Psalm 148:2 and 3, Isaiah 14:13, Job 38:7, Nehemiah 9:6, Jeremiah 8:2. In all of these scriptures, what it's talking about is the celestial beings. And Deuteronomy 33:2 and 3, and Zechariah 14:5, where they are called the Kadoshim, the holy ones. This separates this heavenly council idea from a mere earthly council or mere earthly assemblies and judges. No, they are referred to as gods because that is what is occurring. These are passages that further imply an event in the heavenly council, such as Genesis 1:26, Genesis 3:22, Genesis 11:7, Psalm 29:1 and 2, 58:1 and 2, 89:6 and 9, and maybe Isaiah 24:23.